I think with education, we have sometimes thought that preparation is simply a training of the mind, getting a certain amount of information. And so at Faith Builders here, we care about more than that, and we look at wanting to cultivate heart, wanting to cultivate skills, hands.
We're heading to a soup kitchen in Meadville. What's the sense of calling that propels a person to put themselves in that situation?
Well, I think first of all, as a follower of Christ, I feel called to live a life of service and to live in a way that points people to who Jesus is and to give them a little bit of a picture of what a life like that could look like. I do feel called to serve and to love people. And I think sometimes that takes place in really ordinary things like serving food at a soup kitchen.
The best thing I can think about is just the life of Jesus. He came as a servant to give his life, and I think that the giving of his life was not just in his final sacrifice, but in his whole life. And those who follow Jesus are called into the same kind of life. There are some things that you can't just automatically have just by volunteering or just by going into ministry.
There's a process, and it's not often an easy one. Can you describe the process, or just what's it feel like to go through that?
What does it feel like?
Yeah.
A lot of just ordinary living. I think sometimes we think about these things as being really glamorous or dramatic, and often it's just faithfulness in small things, I think. Saying yes to God when he's asking you to do something.
What, as part of this process, can stress you out?
Well, you're dealing with people, and most of us aren't always put together and perfect. There's a lot of pressure in dealing with people.
Certainly one of the things is developing the kinds of disciplines that pull people into deep and solid ongoing relationship with God. And then also commitments, being able to see needs in people around them, in their communities, and caring about that, and then having the skills to actually do something well there.
We're getting closer to the soup kitchen now. I'm wondering, can you tell me something about what you're going to be doing here?
I never know quite what to expect when I go here. There's often a church group volunteering as well. So I'm usually kind of the behind-the-scenes servant person who runs around and washes dishes and sets tables and things.
All students go through core classes, and that's necessary just for broadening their understanding, world history, world literature, those kinds of things, science. But then we have particular courses that they can take, especially in the special terms, where they can focus on particular areas of interest, whether it's missions or music or discipling other people and so on. So we offer those as courses, and then we also like to expose them to particular kinds of ministry. And it's sometimes things that they have particular interest in. Other times it's things that we encourage them to do that they may not have as much interest in. But serving in a soup kitchen or at a kids club or going to the prison ministry, some of those kinds of things. And sometimes they come away realizing this is really not what I'm called to, but it's been good exposure.
This is a reading program, just helping out kids that have trouble reading and stuff. So basically I come and volunteer here, and we spend time interacting with them, then also do a lot of one-on-one. I really enjoy this, and it's becoming very meaningful to connect with individual children, and especially to see hurt in their lives or whatever, and just have a chance to interact with them. And it is a good way for me to give after receiving so much as well.
Nice working with you, Hannah.
It was great meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So it was a big day?
A little bigger than usual.
As
About
in?
83 people.
Okay.
I think it's usually 60s or 70s.
Anything outstanding about the experience today? You're getting to know a few people.
Yeah, definitely. That's fun. Every time I learn a few more names and hear a few more stories. There's all kinds of people that come through here. You don't always hear the stories, but people from all walks of life. I chose the soup kitchen. It's part of my ministry practicum.
Okay.
So we're supposed to do something, some kind of volunteer work
Uh-huh.
this semester. In the fall, just after we got here, we took a little ministry trip and went to South Carolina, worked in prisons for about 3 days, as well as visiting several other ministries between here and there. So it was a great experience getting to see a little more of what God's doing in different organizations. In a lot of ways, this is different than the kind of thing I envision myself doing long term.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think it's really important to get a broad range of experience, and so I value that a lot.
When I think about just the good effect of broadening understanding, shaping your heart, experiencing fairly significant close relationship and interaction with others, I think those are valuable things, whether people go into full-time ministry or whether they go back and work as mechanics and farmers and carpenters or whatever. You don't have to be high caliber intellectually to make it here. It does stretch people. That's always involved in education and what we do in terms of apprenticing too. We do more than offer courses. We care about people, and we care that they come out of here committed to God, committed to God's people, and having experienced at least some measure of equipping toward that.